The Adventure of Blaze and Tiny. Blaze was a mighty lion, while Tiny was a small but clever mouse. Despite their size difference, they were inseparable best friends. One day, they decided to leave the jungle and explore the vast world beyond. The journey begins. After hours of walking through dense forests, they reached a wide, rushing river. An old wooden bridge stretched across it. Blaze confidently stepped forward, but Tiny hesitated. Blaze, are you sure this bridge is safe? Tiny asked. Blaze smiled and pounded his chest. Don't worry, I'm strong. If anything happens, I'll protect you. Blaze took firm steps across, but as soon as Tiny stepped onto the bridge, one of the wooden planks snapped. Tiny fell, barely managing to grab onto a hanging vine. Blaze, help me! Tiny cried out. Blaze panicked, trying to reach his friend. But with his large size, stepping further might collapse the bridge entirely. Tiny quickly came up with an idea. Tie the vine to your tail, then jump. I'll hold on and swing up. Blaze followed the plan. He leaped high, pulling Tiny up along with him. Tiny landed safely on Blaze's back. Both of them sighed in relief. We make a great team, Tiny laughed. That's right, nothing can stop us. Blaze nodded. A dangerous encounter. As they continued their journey, they reached a vast grassy plain. Suddenly, a giant eagle swooped down, targeting Tiny. Tiny, watch out, Blaze roared. Tiny quickly hid in Blaze's mane, but the eagle wasn't giving up. It circled above, preparing for another attack. Thinking fast, Blaze used his strength to jump high and roar fiercely, startling the eagle. At the same time, Tiny threw a small nut at its eye. Caught off guard, the eagle screeched and flew away. This time, I protected you, Tiny grinned. Thank you, my friend, Blaze smiled. A lesson in friendship. After days of adventure, they returned to their jungle home. They realized that size and strength didn't matter. What truly counted was trust and teamwork. From that day on, Blaze and Tiny continued their journey, exploring new lands and creating more thrilling adventures together. Blaze and Tiny's Mysterious Cave Adventure. One sunny afternoon, Blaze and Tiny were wandering through the jungle when they stumbled upon a hidden cave behind a waterfall. The entrance was dark and mysterious, but Tiny's eyes sparkled with excitement. Blaze, let's explore it. Who knows what treasures we might find? Tiny squeaked. Blaze hesitated. It looks dangerous, but I won't let you go alone. With that, they stepped inside. The cave was cold and damp, with strange glowing crystals lighting the walls. As they walked deeper, they heard a low growl. Blaze? Did you hear that? Tiny whispered. Before Blaze could answer, a pair of glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. A giant bat flapped its wings and screeched loudly. Run, Tiny! Blaze roared. Tiny, being small and quick, dashed between the rocks, while Blaze used his powerful roar to scare the bat away. But just as the bat flew off, the ground beneath them started to shake. Rocks were falling from above. Blaze, the cave is collapsing, Tiny shouted. Thinking fast, Tiny spotted a small opening in the cave wall. There, we can escape through that hole. Blaze, being too big, couldn't fit through. Without hesitation, Tiny climbed up and pushed a loose rock, widening the gap. Jump, Blaze, Tiny yelled. With one powerful leap, Blaze squeezed through just as the cave entrance caved in behind them. Both of them lay on the ground, catching their breath. That was close, Blaze panted. And exciting, Tiny grinned. Let's find another cave tomorrow. Blaze laughed and shook his head. Only if you promise no more giant bats. And with that, the two best friends continued their adventure, ready for whatever came next. Blaze and Tiny's Lost Island Adventure. One day, Blaze and Tiny were walking along the river when they saw a large floating log. Blaze, let's ride it and see where it takes us, Tiny said excitedly. Blaze chuckled. All right, but hold on tight. They jumped onto the log, and the current carried them far away. Soon they reached an island covered in thick jungle. The place was quiet, too quiet. This doesn't feel right, Blaze muttered. As they explored, they found giant footprints in the sand. Uh-oh, something big lives here, Tiny whispered. Suddenly, the bushes rustled. A massive lizard, bigger than Blaze, crawled out. Its eyes locked onto them, and it flicked its long tongue. Run, Blaze roared. They sprinted through the jungle, the lizard chasing close behind. Tiny spotted a tall tree with hanging vines. Blaze, climb up, Tiny shouted. Lions don't climb trees, Blaze panted. Then learn now. Tiny jumped onto a vine and swung up. With no choice, Blaze leaped, grabbing a vine with his claws. He clumsily climbed up just as the lizard snapped its jaws below them. The creature growled in frustration before slinking away. That was close, Blaze sighed. Tiny laughed. See? You can climb after all! After catching their breath, they found a small raft on the shore and paddled back home. Next time, let's pick an island without giant lizards, Blaze grumbled. Tiny just grinned. Where's the fun in that? And so their adventure continued. Blaze and Tiny's desert adventure. One morning, Blaze and Tiny wandered beyond their jungle and found themselves in a vast desert. The golden sand stretched endlessly and the sun burned brightly above them. Wow, I've never seen so much sand before, Tiny exclaimed. Blaze flicked his tail. Let's be careful, we don't know what's out here. As they walked, a strong wind suddenly picked up, whipping the sand around them. Sandstorm, Tiny squeaked. Blaze quickly spotted a large rock and ran toward it. He curled his body around Tiny, shielding his tiny friend from the harsh wind. When the storm finally passed, everything looked different. The sand had shifted, and they were completely lost. Which way is home? Tiny asked nervously. Blaze looked around, but saw only endless dunes. Just then, Tiny spotted something in the distance. Look, a pyramid! Excited, they hurried toward it. At the entrance, they found ancient carvings on the walls. Tiny, being small, squeezed through a narrow gap and found a staircase leading downward. Come on, Blaze! There might be treasure inside, Tiny called. Carefully, they ventured into the pyramid's dark tunnels. Suddenly, the ground rumbled and the walls began to move. A hidden trap had been triggered. Run, Blaze roared. Tiny scurried ahead, spotting a stone switch on the wall. He jumped onto it, and the walls stopped moving just in time. Phew, that was close, Tiny sighed. At the end of the tunnel, they found a room filled with sparkling golden coins and shiny jewels. We found treasure, Tiny cheered. Blaze smiled. Treasure is great, but I just want to find our way home. Using the highest part of the pyramid, Blaze spotted a distant oasis. That must be the way back. With the sun setting behind them, Blaze and Tiny left the pyramid, carrying a single golden coin as a souvenir. That was the best adventure ever, Tiny beamed. Blaze chuckled. Let's just hope our next adventure doesn't include any more traps. And with that, the two best friends walked off toward home, ready for their next journey. Blaze and Tiny's Ice Mountain Adventure. One chilly morning, Blaze and Tiny woke up to find their jungle covered in snow. Curious, they followed the snow-covered trail until they reached the foot of a towering ice-covered mountain. I've never seen anything like this. Tiny shivered. Let's climb to the top and see what's up there, Blaze said excitedly. They began their climb, but the higher they went, the colder it became. Tiny's little paws slipped on the ice, so Blaze let him ride on his back. Halfway up, they heard a loud crack. A chunk of ice broke loose, triggering an avalanche. Hold on tight, Tiny, Blaze roared as he leaped onto a ledge just in time. Snow and ice rushed past them, nearly sweeping them away. That was close, Tiny gasped. As they continued, they found a frozen lake blocking their path. Tiny tested the ice carefully. It looks solid, but we should be careful. Blaze took a step, and crack! The ice began to break beneath his heavy paws. Jump, Blaze! Tiny shouted. Blaze leaped to safety just as the ice shattered behind him. Finally, they reached the mountain's peak, where they discovered something amazing, a glowing crystal frozen inside the ice. It's beautiful, Tiny said in awe. Blaze used his sharp claws to carefully chip the ice away, revealing the shimmering blue crystal. Suddenly, the sky cleared and the sun cast a golden glow over the snowy landscape. We did it, Tiny! We conquered Ice Mountain! Blaze roared proudly. They carried the crystal back home as a reminder of their daring adventure, ready for whatever came next. Blaze and Tiny's Jungle Temple Adventure. One afternoon, Blaze and Tiny were exploring deep in the jungle when they stumbled upon an ancient stone temple covered in vines. Wow, do you think there's treasure inside? Tiny asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Only one way to find out, Blaze grinned. They pushed open the heavy stone door and stepped inside. The air was cool and damp, and strange symbols covered the walls. As they walked forward, the ground suddenly shifted. Click! Uh-oh, that didn't sound good, Tiny whispered. A row of sharp spears shot up from the floor behind them. Run, Blaze roared. They sprinted down the hallway as more traps activated. Arrows flew from the walls, and the floor crumbled beneath them. Tiny, being small, dodged easily, while Blaze had to leap over gaps. Finally, they reached a large chamber with a golden idol sitting on a pedestal. There's the treasure! Tiny cheered. But as soon as he touched it, the temple began to shake. The walls started closing in, and the ceiling began to drop. We have to get out, now! Blaze yelled. Tiny quickly placed a small rock where the idol had been, and the trap stopped moving. The temple settled, and the exit opened. Phew! That was close, Blaze sighed. As they stepped outside, Tiny held up a small golden coin he had grabbed. We may not have the idol, but at least we have a souvenir, he said proudly. Blaze laughed. Next time, let's find an adventure without traps. And with that, they headed home, already excited for their next journey. Blaze and Tiny's Hidden Valley Adventure. One morning, Blaze and Tiny were walking through the jungle when they discovered a narrow path hidden behind thick bushes. Where do you think this leads? Tiny asked curiously. Only one way to find out, Blaze replied with a grin. They pushed through the leaves and followed the trail, which led them to the edge of a deep canyon. Below, they saw a beautiful valley filled with sparkling waterfalls, colorful flowers, and animals they had never seen before. Wow, a hidden valley! Tiny gasped. But there was one problem. The only way down was a rickety old rope bridge. Are you sure about this? Tiny gulped. Don't worry, I'll go first, Blaze assured him. Blaze took slow, careful steps, but halfway across, snap! One of the ropes broke. The bridge swayed dangerously. Run, Tiny, Blaze roared. Tiny sprinted across just as the bridge collapsed behind them. Well, I guess we're not going back that way, Tiny said. They explored the valley, marveling at the crystal-clear ponds and fruit trees. But soon, they noticed something strange. A group of small animals was gathered near a fallen tree, unable to move it. Looks like they need help, Blaze said. Using his strength, Blaze pushed the tree aside, freeing the trapped animals. They cheered and gave Blaze and Tiny a basket of delicious jungle fruits as a thank you gift. Helping others is the best kind of adventure, Tiny said, munching on a fruit. I agree, Blaze nodded. Now, how do we get home? Just then, they spotted a hot air balloon tied to a rock. It must have belonged to an explorer long ago. Looks like we have a way out, Tiny laughed. They hopped in, and as the balloon lifted them back toward the jungle, Blaze grinned. Best adventure yet? Definitely, Tiny said. Until the next one. And with that, they soared into the sky, ready for whatever adventure came next. Blaze and Tiny's Midnight Forest Adventure. One night, Blaze and Tiny were resting under a big tree when Tiny noticed something strange. Blaze, look, the fireflies are flying in a straight line. Blaze opened one eye. Maybe they're just enjoying the night air. But Tiny was curious. No, I think they're leading us somewhere. Let's follow them. Blaze yawned but stood up. All right, but if we don't find anything, you owe me a snack. They followed the glowing fireflies through the dark forest until they reached a small pond. The water shimmered with an eerie blue light. This pond is glowing. Tiny gasped. Blaze dipped a paw into the water. Suddenly, a stone at the bottom of the pond began to glow brighter. It's a hidden treasure, Tiny exclaimed. Just as Blaze was about to reach for the stone, a soft voice echoed around them. Who dares disturb the pond of the moon spirit? A glowing white owl appeared from the trees. We didn't mean any harm, Blaze said. The owl's eyes twinkled. You are brave to follow the fireflies. Only those with pure hearts can see the magic of this forest. The owl gently tapped the stone with its wing, and the glowing water rose into the air, forming sparkling patterns before settling down again. Take this stone, the owl said. It will guide you when you are lost. Blaze picked up the stone carefully. Thank you, Tiny said in awe. As they walked back home, Tiny held the glowing stone proudly. That was amazing. Who knew the forest had so many secrets? Blaze chuckled. And next time, remind me not to doubt you. With the magical stone lighting their way, Blaze and Tiny returned home, ready for the next adventure that awaited them.